All right, so today I'm going to go over how to solve multi-step equations. I'm going to be using primarily one strategy. The strategy I'm going to use is isolating for the variable. And to isolate the variable, I'm going to use a property of equality. So several properties of equality to get my variable by itself. So this variable m is what I'm trying to get by itself. So I have this left side. The first thing I'm going to do is simplify the left side of this equation as much as I can before I start applying the properties. So I notice I have these parentheses and this minus sign out here. So I imagine that there is a 1. It's an implied 1. And since there's an implied 1 and this negative out here, I'm going to distribute so I can remove the parentheses right here. So I'm multiplying this negative 1 times this 2m times the minus 28. So my equation will now look like this: 5m minus 2m, and this minus 1 or negative 1 times a negative 28 is a positive 28 equals 7. So now my equation is I still can simplify this left side because I have like terms. 5m plus minus a 2m, I can combine these together, and that gives me a 3m. And so I have 3m plus 28 equals 7. So now this left side, there's no more things I can do to simplify it. So now I'm going to go ahead and start using my properties of equality to start isolating for this variable. So the first thing I'm going to do is cancel the constant part, the term without the variable. And since it's a plus 28, I'm going to cancel it by subtracting 28. And the property of equality tells me whatever I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other to maintain the equality of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 28 from the 7 as well. So this 28 plus 28 minus 28 cancels each other. And 7 take away 28 gives me a negative 21. So on the left side, I'm just left with the 3m. And I'm going to continue using the strategy of, or the properties of equality here. I want to isolate the m. It's being multiplied by 3, so I can divide by 3 to get m by itself. And again, whatever I do to one side, I do to the other because of the property of equality. So I end up with m equals a negative 7. Now, once I have my answer, I can always go back and check to make sure that my math was correct by replacing or substituting the answer I got back into the original equation to see if the left side actually does equal the right side. Okay, so I replaced the m with the negative 7 that I solved or got when I solved the equation, and let's go ahead and work this out. I basically use the order of operations to simplify. So 5 times negative 7 gives me a negative 35. Then I have this inside parentheses or bracket, so I'm going to work that out first. So I have a negative 14 here minus 28 inside the brackets. And again, we want to check to see if it equals a 7 on the right hand side. So let's go ahead, continue with the order of operations, still working within these parentheses. So negative 14 minus negative 28 gives me a negative 42. So I have a negative 42 out here and negative 35 right there minus. And we're still checking to see if it's going to end up equaling that 7. Hopefully it does. Next, we go ahead, we have a negative 35 minus a negative 42, and subtracting a negative number is the same thing as adding a positive or adding the positive. So we have a negative 35 plus 42, so the difference there would be a positive 7. So 7 equals 7, which checks out. So our math was correct. M does equal negative 7. Okay, so now it's your opportunity to see if you understood the steps that I explained earlier. So I want you to try solving this equation using those same types of steps. So pause the video, work out the problem, and see if you get the correct answer. So go ahead, pause the video now. So did you get y equals 1? If so, good job. Okay, so hopefully this video helped you refresh your memory or taught you how to solve a multi-step equation by isolating the variable.